Hi there, beautiful souls. Welcome. Welcome back or welcome to The Hawk and I. My name is Lana Zelinsky and I work in the spirit dimensions. As always in all my videos, simply take what resonates and you're welcome to leave the rest right here. I had an incredible experience last night, one that I've been waiting for a few years. I had a visit from a dear friend of mine who is up in the spirit dimensions. I haven't felt her in a very long time, and she's never come to me in a dream since she's been passed, and she has been passed a few years. She was one of the most amazing friends that I've had here in the physical world. Her name was Carol Ann, and we had a very unique friendship. Carol Ann was I'll use the word skeptic, but she just didn't understand my mediumship. Um, I know a big piece of her was like, I think you're crazy. But she loved me anyway. She was my biggest cheerleader. She always encouraged me to follow my path and to live my journey and to follow my happiness and to do that, right? To be happy and to have a fulfilled life. She didn't understand the mediumship. She didn't understand my whole, the whole spiritual side of me. But you know what? She loved all of me. She loved every single part, even the part she didn't understand. And that's a really incredible gift. And I felt the exact same way about her. There were things that I didn't understand either, with her belief systems, and where she stood in how she felt about me. But the one thing with friendships is being able to love all of someone, even when you don't understand. She was and still is one of my biggest cheerleaders in any of my events that my platform mediumships or anything that I was teaching, any of my events that I was hosting. Carol Ann always bought a ticket, never showed up. But she always bought a ticket. And sometimes she would give it away, and sometimes the seat at that event just remained empty. And there were many times I'd look at that empty seat and I would say, Carolyn, I know you're not physically here, but that empty seat is very symbolic of I'm supporting you. Or if she gifted it to somebody, I knew that her heart was giving somebody a piece of magic that I know she didn't fully comprehend the power of. Now, Carol Ann became very sick very quickly. She had bone cancer that was undetected until it was very late stage. And her health deteriorated at a rapid rate. And I offered many times to have conversations with her regarding death and the spirit dimensions. And I opened that door for her to walk through and meet me in, to have these conversations. And she never took it. And that's very much okay. There was never, ever, ever any static between us on this topic at all. And, and it's because we loved each other so unconditionally. I loved all of her and she loved all of me, including the pieces that were difficult to understand and sometimes the pieces that were hard to hold and love, right? But there was just that power of friendship that we always maintain. We always maintain that mutual respect and mutual love. And sometimes it was a conversation that we laughed at, topics that we laughed at. We would laugh at the differences. And she would say, I think you're crazy. And I would say, I think you're crazy too. But Carol Ann's health did deteriorate rather quickly. And I did get a phone call to come and see her one last time. Her family called and said, she's asking for you to come. She's ready to say her goodbyes. So over I went, and I held her hand, and she said to me, I'm always going to be cheering for you. No matter what happens in this whole experience when we pass, my heart and my soul will always be cheering for you. And I held her hand, and I said, Carol Ann, I am always going to be cheering for you because I am 100% certain where you're going. And she laying in her hospital bed. She was in her home. She passed away in her home, but she was laying in her hospital bed, and she said, "Well, we'll see. We'll see which one of us is right." Um, and we laughed and we cried, and she passed away within a couple hours of our goodbye. And some time went by that I was like, Carolyn, Carolyn. I didn't feel her. I just I knew she was okay, but I wasn't feeling her the way I feel other spirits, and I wasn't feeling her the way I connect to my own friends and family that are up in the spirit dimensions. I wasn't feeling with her, and I sat many times in meditation. Trying to connect with her, I asked her to come many times, and I just wasn't feeling her. And I knew it was because she wasn't ready. When we pass away, we do have things that we have to do in the spirit dimension sometimes before we connect. Um, and then there were brief moments as the months had passed where I just felt that hug, and I felt that support, and I was like, oh, there you are. There you are. You're coming a little closer. Now, last night, she came to me in a dream, and it was really quite comical, as Carol quite often was. She came to me shaking her pom poms, like cheerleader pom poms. She was shaking her pom poms, and she was like, "Go, Lana, go, go, Lana, go." And I was like, "Oh, Carol, how lovely it is to see you." And she said to me, "Well, I've been very busy up here. I've been really busy doing some soul work. I've had to do some learning and some soul growth, and processing. And this is kind of where I've been." And I was in my dream state. I was like, "Well, it took you long enough." And she reminded me of something that I know, and I say it all the time. There's no time in the spirit dimensions. Like for her, it was like, it's only been moments since she's been gone. We had a delicious conversation, and we talked about always, no matter how unsupported we may feel sometimes. She reminded me of pushing forward and going after what your heart and your soul's desires are. And she said to me, don't let up. Don't let up. Don't don't ever feel so alone on this journey. Don't ever feel that you're not making a difference, because you are. And I woke up with there's some tears running down my cheek. And as I laid there just kind of processing, I felt her hand take mine. And I thanked her for the beautiful gift and the beautiful reminder, because it's so true. Sometimes we do feel like we're pushing against, or we're working hard, and we don't have support. I have a ton of support. It's not about not being supported. It's about that very few deep friendships have that unconditional support. I'm going to support you, even the parts that are hard to support, the parts that are hard to understand, the parts of someone's journey that we may not connect to. People don't have to understand everything that you're experiencing here in this physical world. And that includes family. Sometimes family members just don't understand, and they don't connect with what we're doing, and sometimes we get very defensive. Well, if you're not supporting this part of me, then I can't accept that. Carol Ann's friendship taught me a lot about being able to go forward in my journey with my mediumship, and what resonates with my heart, and what I know I need to do here in this physical world, without having an understanding from somebody who meant so much to me. But she never stopped cheering for me, even though she didn't understand what I do, and she didn't understand how it worked or why it worked. But we just stayed in that vibration of I love you anyway. You know, the craziness and the differences. I love you anyway. And that piece, as simple as it is, has taught me a lot over the years with other people. It's taught me to, you know, how to source energy, see them, and how to, you know, how can I, you know, be that ultimate person in someone's life that can just love them without having to understand everything. You know, there are many different types of friendships, and there are many different types of relationships, and there people come and go in our life that teach us so many magical things. um, Carol Ann has been a powerhouse cheerleader for me, and I was so grateful that she showed up in my dream and was still present when I woke up. And I still feel her around me. Now, the connection between us, I think, will shift. And quite often, when we lose our deceased loved ones, there can be that gap where we may not feel them. And there can be a few different reasons for that. Sometimes we're just not connecting with them. Sometimes they're just going through their own processes. And sometimes that reason may be just simply unknown. Um, I have been doing mediumship for many, many years, and I connect to, you know, spirits all the time. And there was that gap for a little bit where I was like, Carol Ann, you know, where did you go? It's you know, it's there are some things that are not explainable, and she was going through her own processes up in the spirit dimensions, and I just maintain that hard knowing that I just know she's okay. I just know. And spirit visitations in dreams are such glorious gifts. And one thing that you can do if you want to have visitations in your dreams is ask them to come and ask to remember your dreams. The reason spirit comes to us during our dream time is our mind is so quiet that they're able to come in. And sometimes it's their choice. They're choosing to connect that way because they do have choice on how they want to connect. Spirit is always changing with me in my readings. Sometimes it's, you know, I've shared this before. Sometimes I just know, I just know, I just know. Sometimes there's a chalkboard in my awareness. I'll often look to my right for whatever reason, and I'll read this chalkboard because they're writing to me. Sometimes I see them. You know, it's changing all the time because they do and I'm not 100% sure if it's just their choice or if it's just how they connect. It's how they're, I always say, this is just how we're working today. That's kind of how I look at it. This is how I'm working today. And sometimes how we're working is in our dreams. I do hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about my journey with a friendship that meant so much. And as always, love, light, blessings, and a spirit guided day.